Hello and welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. Today we'll be doing the play readings for the Man City versus Chelsea game. Our co-host is back, Mr. Abrazi. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing
Been a
well.
while.
We missed you, man. Zoe particularly missed you a lot during that Arteta slump kind of
Well,
situation.
look at the timing, man. They go on a five-game win streak, and suddenly Abra's
Yeah.
back.
I come I come back
I'm
from the
not
dead.
saying it's a conspiracy, but you got to look at the evidence in front of you. You got to consider all the evidence, all the
Yeah.
theories.
Perfect timing, man. That whole time me and Zoe have been talking about Arsenal and how they're losing and everything, and Abra was nowhere to be seen. And now suddenly 3 games on the trot and he's back. But it's good to have you back, man. This game, Chelsea versus City, a one-sided. City back. It looks like they're back to their best, a clinical performance. A lot of worries now for Chelsea. That problem that Ole had at the start of the season, then Arteta. Now Lampard has that problem. A lot of pressure on him, especially spending that 200 million in the summer. Zoe, your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, man. I think like I've been saying this about Chelsea, for the past little bit that they've really been struggling against top teams. They went on a good run at the beginning of the season, but it's kind of all gone south for them. The last couple of games, and because of the way the league is this year, man. Like the margins are thin, but at the same time, there's room for recovery. But yeah, man, a couple of bad results will drop you down in the standings, and Lampard's job is pretty much under threat, bro. It's not an unknown factor. Everyone knows that Chelsea is quick on the trigger when it comes to replacing
It's different
managers.
to United and Arsenal. Abramovich
Exactly.
is way more different. Like he pulls the trigger really quickly.
He's way more involved in the day to day.
Yeah.
He's way quicker to pull the trigger, and at the same time, like Lampard had a lot of capital coming into the season from how he was able to get the team to deliver last year, right? He was able to have them finish fourth with the transfer ban. But when you spend 200 million, there are expectations that come with it. Obviously, it takes time for players to gel together, for everything to come together. But at the same time, we know what modern football is like now. The margins for error are so thin, and people are the timelines are so accelerated. This was just another game where I think that Lampard's in a bit of a weird position where he doesn't know what his best team is, and regardless of what team he's putting out, nothing is really clicking over the past little bit. So it's just this vicious cycle that's developed where no matter what he's trying, it isn't really coming off, and it just every negative result that Chelsea pick up, it just adds to the pressure. It just puts everything under a much sharper focus, and it's just a really bad place to be in. The only way out, unfortunately, is to win a couple of games. I don't know what the rest of their fixture list is looking like, but yeah, they got spanked. They got spanked against City. I don't think they had anything for City, and that's not even on Lampard. I thought the players looked super slow. They weren't energetic. They were getting beaten to the 50-50s, and City basically played with them. City had their way, ripped them apart in the first half, and even in the second, there wasn't much going Chelsea's way, and they got a consolation at the end. But I don't think any Chelsea fan is going to be happy with that consolation.
Definitely. And Don, you called it before the season that Chelsea's not going to go too far because of the gelling process, but we thought that it was done because I think after that initial month they were picking up wins, they were looking good. Werner was scoring goals, Ziyech was looking $1 million, and suddenly the slump again. So you got that right, but what do you think is the problem? Because even United and Arsenal have gone through this, but like Chelsea have spent way more. So this season.
I think every team is going through this. The only thing that Chelsea has again going against them is the fact that they spent a lot of money on some quality players, and some of the other teams can probably make that as bring that up as an excuse compared to what Chelsea can do. But Chelsea have spent a lot of money. I've been saying that this is gonna be a difficult season for them in terms of figuring it out. There is a lot of tactical issues that I think Lampard's trying to work with. He's like Zoe mentioned. I don't think he knows really what his strongest team is right now. There are issues over there, but I just feel like the amount of criticism that he's getting, in my personal opinion, is a little bit far-fetched. I'm not saying that.
I'm glad you said that though, because you were defending Arteta a lot, so it's good that you're a bit fair
But
in this
listen,
situation.
I want to make a point on this. I think Lampard gets a pass because he's English. If this was Ole, look how much negativity and how much criticism Ole has experienced, as Ole has been directed at Ole, and even Arteta.
Yeah, he did.
I do it as jokes, but if you look at the English media, what's being talked about, and we know that football media is garbage. We know that it's it's the lowest of the lowest rung of journalism, which is where we're at. But
I was just thinking. Go.
but the point is that in comparison to how Ole is treated, how Arteta is treated, I think Lampard still gets a pass from the English press, and I think a big part of that is because he's English. He doesn't have credentials. He managed Derby for a season, was backed financially in the Championship, missed out on promotion, which is what should have been his goal. Had I think punched above his weight in the first season with Chelsea, and even then he should have done better with the way United were playing and other teams were playing. He should have at least come third. And now it's sort of coming apart. So I don't know if he's getting too much criticism.
Yeah, like bro, you can say that like last season they didn't criticize him because yes, he had the transfer ban, but now that everything is done and they had that settling period. Like I mean, they had that blip initially in the season and they recovered from it. It's not like they didn't do anything this season. They were playing some really good football, but suddenly a slump has to go down to the players, of course, and to the manager and tactics as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not taking anything away from that. I just feel like absolutely there is a fair reason for criticism. There's no doubt about that. I just feel like you have to give a manager a full season before you can decide what comes out of it. And I've always backed Ole. I've never said Ole is the wrong guy for the job or anything. I've always, of course, backed Arteta. There's that about me. But I just feel like give Chelsea till the end of the season and just see kind of how they work with how they or where they finish, and then we can make a call.
The only problem with that is Chelsea is different to Arsenal and United. I don't think.
I agree. In terms of the money that they spent, in terms of the backing that they've had,
and their history of sacking coaches.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, that as well. I agree with that, but I just feel like it just sometimes with the way the season has been, with the games coming thick and fast. Also, I'm not saying that the schedule should be any kind of an excuse for Chelsea, because they have one of the biggest squads that's available. But I'm just saying with the way it comes, and then suddenly games get postponed and stuff like that. There is that little bit of an uncertainty. They also had issue with Havertz and if I'm not wrong, one of the other guys also,
Ziyech was injured in between as well.
Havertz got COVID, and he still hasn't looked himself since he's come back and stuff like that. I'm not saying what he's getting is unwarranted. Absolutely, there is a fair amount of there's a fair amount of truth of what's happening over there. I just feel like we should give him till the end of the season and see and just see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'll make the counterpoint over here. And again, I'm me, I'm a patient guy, bro. I've supported Ole throughout, man, through all the ups and downs. So I think that
only Ole, nobody else.
Only Ole, bro. Everyone else. I mean, for me, it benefits me to have Lampard and Arteta still managing till the end of the season, please, so you guys can finish in that relegation battle. It benefits me, but on a more on a neutral note, like right now, Lampard's points per game is probably I think it's the lowest out of Chelsea managers under Roman Abramovich. It's lower than Andre Villas-Boas, and that guy lasted less than a year. So Lampard's already had the first year. Basically, what I'm saying, I'm with you that should he get to the end of the season? Sure, let them see what he can do. Who's the replacement available in the market right now? That's also the other question, right? I think the only big names right now, Musti's man Allegri and Tuchel is available.
Yeah,
Tuchel is available. Sam Allardyce is busy. Tony Pulis is busy, so no one's gonna bail them out in that sense. You get me? I mean, I guess they could always go back to Gus Hiddink. That's what always happens.
He's there.
Well, but yeah, I think that's a valid counter as well. I think let's crack on with the ratings. We'll go with Chelsea first, though. So if you can, let's quickly go through it. Mendy and goal. Like, I mean, there's some issues in the first half, but second half a really good save. I think it was off Rodri.
That point blank save from Rodri. That was crazy. I mean, listen. Even like with Mendy, the good thing about for Mendy is that the bar was set so low for him with Kepa that as long as he was a semi-competent goalkeeper, he would be an immediate improvement over what Chelsea had, and that's been the case. He's been good. He's raw. He's gonna get better. He's still not the finished product. We all know goalkeepers take time to mature and come into their own, and Mendy's gonna be no different. There's a lot of raw potential there. He looks, he has flashes of brilliance. That save from Rodri is a prime example. But then at the same time, there are things he could do much better. Like, for example, for the first goal, I personally feel he could have done better for that, because it was a great shot, great turn by
he got a hand to it as well.
He got a hand to it. So it's like, that wasn't bottom corner. That was still savable. And if we're going to criticize top level goalies, then we should criticize Mendy as well, because that's what he's aiming towards, right? Again, it's going to be a poor performance overall for that back line. The defense doesn't make things easy for him, especially in this game. Those guys need to be doing better. They need to protect their goalie better. A few things that Mendy could have done better. He still had 3 saves, which is, I guess, okay, but still conceding 3 goals is never a good look. Man, I got to give him a 5.5.
5.5 out of 10 for Mendy. And then moving on to Espelicueta, bro, that guy got nutmegged big time by Kevin De Bruyne. And the reason for that, I was watching after the game. I saw the replays and stuff, and I think the reason for that was because he had his hands behind his back, because of being scared of getting that handball. So I think that's why his legs were open. He got nutmegged, man.
For me, obviously, we're gonna talk about the fact that he got megged.
Yeah.
That actually doesn't factor into my rating of him because I think that in a professional game, bro, you get megged. It happens, And credit to De Bruyne for spotting that pass and playing it through. But there were much bigger issues with Aspi's game. Foden ran him ragged.
Yeah.
I don't particularly, think of Foden as a pace merchant. He's quick, but he's not lightning. And he ran Aspi off the field. Aspi couldn't handle him. Even, for the second goal, the way Foden got in between the lines, he got in between Azpilicueta and Silva. And you need to be doing better, especially with how much experience Azpilicueta has. You need to be doing better. And you can see why Reece James is the guaranteed starter at this point in time, because Reece James gives them more solidity, gives them more pace, better defensive ability, and better attacking ability right now over anything that Aspi is offering. He was pretty much, bang average, if not less than average. Could the midfield and attack have done more? I think Ziyech could have tracked back more to help.
Definitely.
To help Aspi, especially with the way that City play. They're playing a false 9. They have no recognized striker, at least in this game. So, yeah, I think that was just a really poor performance from him. I got to give him a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10 for Azpilicueta. And then moving on to Kurt Zuma, his positioning was off in this game.
Yeah, so Zuma wasn't as bad as Silva, but, he still didn't elevate to the level required for the game. Tried his best to cut out City's attack. He had a couple of interceptions, couple of clearances, but again, that, apart from Chilwell, basically, so Silva, Zuma, and Aspi kept on getting pulled out of position. City kept on, playing them exactly the way that they wanted to play them, and these guys were more than happy to oblige, unfortunately. And you can't have that, you can't have that. You need to be better positioned. I think more of the blame falls on Silva for this stuff, but still, Zuma's there. He's been playing for a while. He's familiar with the league. You got to be doing better as a starting center back for Chelsea Football Club. I got to give him a 5 out of 10, and that's being generous.
5 out of 10 for Zuma. And Thiago Silva, you made the points, but what would you rate him, less or more than Zuma?
I'd definitely rate him less, man. He got spun by Gundogan for the first goal. Super mediocre performance. He's slow. This is not an unknown factor. He's an older player. He wasn't particularly quick at PSG either. Marquinhos was the quick one, if you guys remember. But he was constantly troubled by City's pace, their technical ability. He made a few, defensive contributions, but you want your senior center back to be doing more. You need him to be marshaling that line, communicating. You have players that aren't that are getting a run that haven't been playing a lot. For example, Azpilicueta. Chilwell is still new to the team. You're the senior center back. You were brought in for experience, for championship pedigree. You need to put your mark on games like this, and I feel like he really, really dropped the ball. I think a 4 is merited for him.
4 out of 10 for Thiago Silva. And then Ben Chilwell.
Big Ben, man, he was probably the brightest spot in Chelsea's defense for me. I think he did a decent enough job defensively. Won the majority of his duels, had a couple of clearances. His crossing ability, though, is wasted in this Chelsea setup. If you're not playing Giroud, he gets forward and he puts in good crosses. But when you're playing someone like Werner through the center, when you're playing, these guys who don't really have as much of an aerial game as, let's say, someone like Giroud, like a classic target man, it gets wasted. And we saw that. He was crossing it in, but nothing was happening with those crosses. But, I have to give him credit for the fact that he did a much better job than his counterpart, Aspi. Most threatening City attacks came from Aspi's flank. So I got to give Chilwell a 6, man. I think that's probably fair for him.
6 for Chilwell. And then moving on to Kante, that third goal, I mean, it was his ball which De Bruyne cleared off, and it was the counter-attack. Sterling was one-on-one. Even though it's not completely his fault, that pass he was looking, it was a bit too short. I felt he should have just long balled it.
Listen, I mean, with someone like Kante, with the heights that he's reached, with the trophies that he's won, he's got a World Cup, he's won a league with Leicester. He is a very, very good player, but I think that I don't know if the setup isn't suiting him. He's played as a single deep mid before as well, so it's not something new. Maybe he's fatigued. I don't know what it is, but he looked really off the pace today. He gave the ball away a ton of times, and you can't be having someone in Kante's position doing that. You need him to be tidying up. You need him to be mopping up all those sort of half chances. The goal, the third goal, that pass, a player of his caliber should be doing better. Playing it wide, playing it better. You can't be just hoofing it into a crowd of City players, and then obviously once that happened, it was over because De Bruyne could. When you have a player of De Bruyne's caliber, he's just going to play that ball over and get the runner, going.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like it was a pretty terrible game for Kante. I think a 4.5 would be about right for him.
Yeah, 4.5. Definitely, he wasn't up to his standards. And then moving on to Kovacic, again, lost the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, he lost the ball quite a bit. I thought he was better than Kante. I kind of liked what I saw from Kovacic in glimpses, in brief instances. Like he had a shot, that goal that was a nice bit of interplay, nice bit of movement from him. He has technical ability, but I don't know what it is. If it's a coaching thing, he's just not hitting those peaks that he should be. He's been at Chelsea for what, two seasons now, 3 seasons now. This is his 3rd season, I think. I'm not sure. Second, right? He's got to be doing better at this point in time. Plus he ate a yellow, lost the ball a ton, like you said. I think a 5 is okay for him. 5 for
Kovacic. And then moving on to Mason Mount, he tried to get on the ball and stuff, but like that City midfield was just too much for him.
I mean, again, like when you have 2 players in your midfield that are, basically liabilities, that are passengers, it puts a lot of pressure on the one guy. I thought Mount played a pretty decent game, all things considered. He created 3 chances. That was the most for anyone on the Chelsea lineup. He looked lively going forward, but again, you need to be tighter on the ball. You can't afford to be as loose when you're playing a City team that's in the mood. And we saw what happened when you're giving the ball away, when you're losing the ball away, especially in midfield. City are going to hit you very, very quickly because they move the ball forward. They move the ball forward differently in the way that someone like, let's say, United or Leicester, but they move the ball forward very, very well. They're, these guys have been playing together for some time. They have that sort of chemistry worked out. I mean, maybe this might be a little bit high, but you know what? I'll give him a 7.
7 for Mason Mount. Okay.
It'd be a 6, but then a point for being Lampard's son.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think probably I would have gone for like 5.5, 6, but yeah, fair enough. I think you like him as well, so 7. Now, yeah, and then moving on, I honestly feel he didn't do that bad. It's just like he was up against a high quality midfield, and you can see the difference. I think that was the main thing. And then moving on to Hakim Ziyech, man, I think that 3rd goal, like he should have tracked back. Like you were talking about him not coming back, and I think that was a big part of his fault as much as it was Kante's.
Dude, I thought Ziyech had a terrible game. Like I've been, I said this at the beginning of the season. Ziyech, I like Ziyech. I think he's a really good footballer. I think I've said this in the beginning. I'll say it again. I think he was probably the best out of Chelsea's signings.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that he had a terrible game. In this one, obviously, he's coming back from injury. There's going to be a little bit of rust, but his passing was super wayward, poor crossing. Again, part of it is that you're not playing the lineup for crosses, but still poor accuracy on his passing, lost the ball a ton of times, wasn't getting there, needs to come back and protect his fullback, needs to come back and protect Aspi, especially when it is Azpilicueta playing and not Reece James. So there needs to be more engagement on that side, and that's a coaching thing. I think a 5 would be about par for him.
5 for Ziyech, and then moving on to Pulisic.
So Pulisic is weird. He was definitely Chelsea's brightest attacker.
I agree.
Chelsea's brightest attacker, put up, gave a good account for himself in terms of winning the ball in those 50-50s. He's got that passion. He's got that drive. He had 9, he completed 9 dribbles successfully, which is pretty solid. But there needs to be more end product.
Yeah.
There's this theme about Pulisic that he gets into good positions. He dribbles the ball really well, but then he doesn't really convert it into an end product.
Which is surprising because last season he had that, like he was scoring goals frequently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, you could chalk this up to the influx of new players, the constant changing of the team, changing of tactics.
As well,
but again, he was killing it last season. I think he's solid, but yeah, there needs to be more end product this season. He needs to step up as well. But yeah, I liked what I saw from his game, man. I'll give him a 7.5.
7.5 for Pulisic. And then Timo Werner, man, I don't know what's happened to this guy. Like, I mean, in the last few games, he was getting chances and missing them, but I didn't see him this game. And he was playing down the middle, I think. So it was his more preferred position, but like nowhere to be seen.
So Werner's just in a really tough spot, man. He's just looks completely devoid of confidence. These are chances, like, he had a good shot for a penalty turnout. I thought Rodri did foul him. I thought that was a penalty, and I thought that City got away with it. But again, you can't be dependent on that. You're not United. You're not going to get those calls, So I think that, in that situation, you need to keep going. He had one shot the entire game, and that shot was blocked. Apart from that, nothing on target, nothing off target. Your center forward needs to be doing more for you. A player of his caliber, we saw how good he was at Leipzig. You need to translate that into success in the Premier League. Sure, first season, all that, but it's been half a season. You get me? It's been half a season. You need to be doing more than you are right now. I'm not asking you for you to be firing on all cylinders, but I need to see something from you. He's hesitant. He's not running into the channels that he should be. He's not occupying the space that he should be. If anyone has a subscription to The Athletic, I highly recommend you read Alan Shearer's breakdown of all of his misses, or a majority of his misses, and it's really interesting reading because it just shows you that someone that's in form, someone that's got that goal scoring, that vision, that hunger, whatever it is. I'm not saying that he doesn't want to score, but he's missing that sort of that single-minded focus. He's not getting into the right positions. He's not causing the defenders as much problems as he should be. He's supremely talented. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, man, I don't know. He's like there's no shortcut to getting out of it. It's just going to be more work on the training ground. Just keep trying to do whatever he can in games. Honestly, I think Chelsea needs to get a penalty just so he can have like a good bite at the cherry. I'll give him a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10 for Werner. And then that wraps up the starting 11. The substitutes, we can briefly talk about them because they had the most impact for Chelsea. So Hudson-Odoi with the goal.
I think Hudson-Odoi needs to play more, man. He is probably one of Chelsea's more talented attackers right now, based on form. He gives them a very direct option, and I think it's a shame that he doesn't play more. He created 2 chances, scored the goal. He's good at retaining the ball as well. He needs to play more, especially with the rest of the team being out of form. I'll give him a 7.5. Havertz, he got the assist. He got the assist. And everyone saw what sort of assist it was. But he got the assist. He needs to retain possession more. I think that the more he plays, the more he recovers. He had a tough bout with COVID. All those things considered, new league, adapting to the physicality of the league, different pace, all that sort of stuff. He will get better, so I'll just be generous to him, and I'll give him a 7.
7, yeah. The attacking intent is there from him. So
the attacking intent is there.
Yeah.
So I'll give him a 7 to be generous, to balance out the 4s and 5s that I've been dishing out.
Yeah.
And Billy Gilmore, man, he's a kid. I like him. I like him whenever youth get a chance. It was an unremarkable performance. It was tidy but unremarkable. I'll give him a 6 out of 10.
A 6 out of 10. Yep, that wraps up Chelsea's player ratings. And just quickly, your rating on Lampard.
Man, I mean, as much as I make fun of Lampard, people talk about Ole being a PE teacher, Arteta being a hair model, bro. Lampard's the original geography teacher. He's got this in the bag. But again, I think that he wasn't fully to blame today. I talked about it a little bit. We talked about he doesn't know who his best team is. His tactics leave a lot to be desired at times. But I think he picked the strongest 11 that he could today. Maybe the tactics didn't match the lineup. Like, again, I talked about crossing. Why are you playing so many crosses if you're not playing someone like Giroud? But I think he picked, like I said, the strongest 11 that he could in terms of availability. But it just, you want more from your manager. You need the right tactics. You need the right subs. The subs kind of worked, but the tactics didn't. I'll give him a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10 for Lampard. Thanks so much, Zoe. That wraps up Chelsea's ratings. Did a great job. And now moving on to Manchester City. And Don, man, like City are back in the title race in the blink of an eye. Now, they look the most threatening considering their squad, style of play, everything. A brilliant performance. So if you want to crack on with the player ratings, Zac Efron, man, when did he start keeping? I didn't know about that. Sorry, Zach Stefan. Yeah.
Zach Stefan. I mean, yeah, even I was surprised over there.
Yeah,
But like,
from High School Musical to Stamford Bridge, man.
How things
and
change. How things change.
Yeah.
and what a way to start it, dude! Absolute drama, picking up a back pass. It's like he was just so surprised. I mean, that would have been such a nerve wracking start for him. But
Yeah.
I think we'll have to wait for seeing how he actually is in the next few games because he had nothing to do today in the game. You know, he had
His
hardly anything to
distribution
do.
was decent, I would say, right? Like
His distribution was okay. Yeah, he
Yeah.
did okay. I think fair enough. He had a decent game. I have to dock off a few points because that was a terrible lapse of judgment in terms of taking that back pass. But give him a 6.5. He
six
had
and a
nothing to do apart from that. I'm
six
How
actually
long is
taking
Ederson
3
out for?
points. I believe
He's
another couple of
isolating.
weeks.
Yeah, he's isolating, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 6.5 for Zach.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Cancelo, man. This guy's really surprised me in the last few games. He creating a lot going forward as well, defensively solid. Could that penalty, I think that was him. Could have been a penalty, but apart from that, he did a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. He was excellent. I mean, defensively, yes, he did a good job. But moving forward, those overlapping runs, he's just been so threatening for City going forward. And you can see like City have suddenly with their fullbacks now starting to get in the games a lot more. They start to look a lot more threatening, and that's the kind of play that Pep likes. And when you're seeing that happen, of course, it looks like City are very threatening. Those overlapping runs are perfect. I mean, 8.5 for him.
8.5 for Cancelo. And then John Stones, I think he's the most improved player for City over the last season or so. So your thoughts on him?
Absolutely, John Stones has just been very, very immense. And finally, I think City have also found a centre back pairing that's actually starting to help. They tried a few things. They tried Nathan Ake. They tried a few other people here and there, but it's just I think the pairing of Stones and Diaz has worked now for them for a few games, and I think it's there to stay. I think these two understand each other well. They play well off of each other, and they've been doing a good job. They both have been good, very good aerially. They've been winning those duels. They've been communicating with their backlines very well. Even Stones, like you said, he's improved significantly. Hats off to him. You know, from being written off to being sold and stuff like that to City, he's actually stepped up and actually made a mark for himself in the City team, which is hard to do because you always have so much competition in the City team. So he had a very good game. I thought 8 on 10.
8 on 10 for John Stones. And then moving on to Diaz, you mentioned him, his partnership with Stones.
I think he had a fine display. I think he was very, very good. I think he was he was like, I think he was all over the place. He was blocking everything. He was clearing everything. He just seemed like he had an immense game. I'll give him an 8.5 on 10. I think he was very, very good again.
8.5 on 10 for Ruben Diaz. And then moving on to Zinchenko.
I think he did a good job defensively, but I think attacking wise as well, he was just so threatening. He was very sharp when he was going forward. There was some talk about him leaving in Jan, but I think that with them finding their ideal back four, I think with these four, I think with Cancelo, Stones, Diaz, and Zinchenko, I think this is probably the ideal back four. So they probably.
But what when Walker comes back?
I mean, of course, Walker will come back, but I feel like Walker, like you said, we always have this about Walker will give you one or two like heart in the mouth kind of moments.
Yeah.
But I think with Cancelo, I think they've kind of seen him improve really, really well as the season has progressed. So I think Walker's pretty good backup to have. But I think Cancelo has done enough to kind of warrant a start more often than not, I think so.
But you could play Cancelo on the left as well if Walker comes back. But
if needed, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good to have both Zinchenko and Walker, so it's good
and
to have
I think
a backup.
I think they need to have that extra little bit of backup with the kind of games that they come fast.
Yeah.
So it would be strange if they let Zinchenko go. There was a lot of rumors about him leaving. We'll see how that goes, but I think it's unlikely after the past couple of games he's been having a couple of good performances. So I'll give him another 8 on 10. I think the backline was solid, except for that last goal in extra time where they could have probably avoided it. But I think that Chelsea did a decent job of being direct and finishing that off nicely.
Yeah,
I think they were pretty good.
Sounds good. And then moving on to Rodri, he had a really good chance. So we talked about Mendy saving that. But your thoughts on his performance?
I thought he had a tidy performance. I think Rodri has been one of those guys who's quietly snuck into that midfield. He's doing his job. He's breaking plays a little bit whenever needed. I think he's doing a pretty decent job in the midfield over there. Another decent performance, 7.5 for him.
7.5 for him. And Gundogan, man, finally out of injury, that turn and finish was class. It was a delight to watch that goal. Your thoughts on his
Absolutely
performance?
sublime. It was just very, very beautiful. It like Zoe mentioned, it kind of was helped with the lack of pace of Silva.
Mm.
He was able to get that little bit of an extra yard, and for someone like an Ike Gundogan to get that extra yard, Silva must have been really slow off the ball over there. So nothing to take away from Ike. I think his vision his vision to finish that off was pretty good. But I think it helped was a little bit of aided with the fact that Silva was really slow off the ball over there. So I thought Ike had a very good game. Even apart from that, I think he was passing the ball. I think the midfield he was bossing it quite well. A pretty decent performance. I'll give him an 8 on 10.
8 on 10 for Gundogan. And then moving on to Phil Foden, man, sensational. Like, I think, and honestly, I criticize Pep a lot, but I have to give him credit for the way he's, sheltered him and brought him slowly into the team. He hasn't started him in every game, and I think Pep knows exactly how to utilize him. And we saw Foden's talents in this game. I think at that goal as well, it looked simple, but it was a difficult finish, and he made it look easy.
It was a ridiculously good finish.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was just very, very good. And like you said, I mean, Pep has done a very good job of really kind of slowly integrating him into this team. He's done a very good job, and like Zoe mentioned as well, he made Azpilicueta look like a schoolboy over there. He was just so good. He kept running past him. He literally was rinsed Azpilicueta, if you want to say, for lack of a better word. When I was reading some of these articles, it was just the word that was used over there as well. So it was very good performance overall. I thought he deserves the credit. Pep deserves the credit to bring him in the way he did. 8.5 and 10 for him.
8.5 out of 10 for Phil Foden. And then Kevin De Bruyne, man, another masterclass. And you can see when his teammates do put away the goals, he looks even better. So your thought on the ball again, class. That nutmeg was brilliant, and then he got the goal as well.
I mean, absolutely incredible. I mean, he's nowhere close to an Emil Smith Rowe, obviously, but he did a pretty decent job. I just had
Bro,
to
they
put
both
that in
can't
there.
shine Bruno's boots, huh?
I was gonna ask him about Bruno and KDB, but forget it. I know which
No,
he's playing.
I just had to put that in there. But just coming back to reality, I had to go back out there. But KDB, man, I mean, I've been a big fan of this guy. He's a quality player. There's no denying that. And when the team around him, like when the players around him play as well as they did against Chelsea, I mean, it just makes him look very, very good. And his finish as well was pretty nice. I think he had a very good game. He was my man of the match. 9 on 10 for him.
9 out of 10 for Kevin De Bruyne. I agree with that. And then moving on to Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva had just like a Bernardo Silva kind of game. He was running around as much as he possibly could. He was putting those crosses wherever needed. He had a pretty decent game, I thought. 7 on 10.
7 on 10 for Bernardo Silva. And then moving on to Raheem Sterling. This guy always gets into amazing positions. I think it's very dangerous on the counter, but you want to see him finish, don't you?
I agree. I think that if he could just add a little bit more of that, and you see it sometimes. He has like a few games where he has those finishing touches as well, and then you're suddenly like, okay, this guy is ready to go, and then suddenly you see this slump in form and stuff like that. I thought he showed a lot of composure when to create that third goal, which is a pretty decent attempt by him as well. But I just want to see him do a little bit more, with a lack of better word, try to be a little bit more greedy and try to create something for himself as well.
He needs to do more than score tap-ins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has to just take his game up that little bit extra, just a notch, not too much, but if he can do that, it'll be great. I think for his own development as well. I think to take his game to the next level, I think just a little bit more needed. But I think he had a decent game. 7.5 on 10. 7.5
out of 10 for Raheem Sterling. That wraps up your starting 11. Subs didn't have much of an impact. If you just want to quickly just talk about them. I think
I think by the time Aguero came on, it was really late. I think even
3-4 minutes.
Yeah, I think Mahrez also. I think very few minutes left, but Fernandinho probably had a little bit more.
Yeah, but not much impact, like I guess as well. Yeah,
the game was over. I mean, the 3 goals down. Chelsea really were not even looking like they would probably even score a goal at the time. Of course, they ended up with a consolation, but the game was done. All 3 of them. If I had to give them a point, I'd just give them 6 on 10 for all 3 of them, but hardly any impact on the game.
So, yeah, I think fair enough. That wraps up City's players' ratings. And just quickly, Guardiola getting the mojo back. Your thoughts on his his tactics and like his rating out of 10?
I think Guardiola, like you said, I mean, we all know he's a great manager. There was a lot of criticism when he started off towards the end of last season and the beginning of the season, but there's a lot of other factors also involved with the way Pep Guardiola played with the COVID situation and everything as well. You know, it takes a little bit getting used to. Some people got used to it a little bit faster than the others, but I think there's no denying that he's a great manager, and he got spot on as well, even in this game. Perfect performance, 9 on 10. I don't think he gets enough credit. I know everyone talks about the amount of money that he spends, and I know Musti is a big a fighter of that as well. Yes, he spends a lot of money, but we're seeing how Klopp's struggling to defend the title this season. uh not a lot gets talked about the fact that he won two in a row with 198 points. Yes, some of the other teams, the competition was less, and and maybe like everything was
But there's a difference what Klopp inherited and what he inherited, in my opinion.
I agree. But having to do
I
that,
know Van Dijk
having to
also
do
this
that,
season makes a
I
difference.
completely agree. But I just feel like with the way whatever was needed, with the way he managed it, I think you just give him a little bit more credit than he gets. Not a lot gets talked
I
about.
think, to be honest,
Finishing
like he needs like a perfect kind of setting. When he gets that, he makes the most of it. Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
like I do criticize him a lot. I treat him like he's not a good manager at all. But it's that's not the case. I'm more critical on him because he has the assets. Like someone like Klopp had to build it.
I agree.
So I think that's the difference that I look at it. But yes, don't like right now. Like if you give him this set of players, he knows how to utilize that. But
Absolutely, I agree.
you take out like not even Kevin De Bruyne. You take out like Cancelo, like fullbacks, even Walker. They made a big difference over the years for him, the fullbacks as well. So you take out a couple of players here and there. We saw Laporte got injured, and there's a big problem for City last season. So
100%. I think he utilizes the resources that he has, which is, I mean, I wouldn't say that these are any lackluster resources. These are top quality resources. But whatever he gets, I think he does a decent job with that. And
yeah.
I think fair enough. I think he got it. We're divulging away from the topic. I think that's a whole
Sorry,
different podcast.
sorry.
But I think he got a spot on this game as well. 9 on 10 for him.
9 out of 10. And just I think that wraps up all the player ratings and the coach ratings. Just a last question, just quickly, you guys' thoughts now. City climbing up the ladder. I think they're in fifth position, but with the game in hand and with the whole COVID situation and the matches getting cancelled and coming back, there's going to be a lot of matches clustered together. So with City squad, are they favorites? Not just looking at the points table, but like with their squad and the way they're shaping up now. Yes, they messed up a bit, but now you can see that slump is gone. So Zoe, you can take this first and then Don.
I think that City are the biggest challengers to Liverpool's reign at the top. Basically, there's been a lot that's been made of United being second. I don't put that much weight in it. I love the fact that my team is performing and doing decently, but at the same time, I don't think that we should be talking about United being title contenders just yet. We're on a good run of form. There's bound to be a dip. But I think that City pose the biggest threat. They have the most quality. They have the most talent. They have a fantastic manager. He is an all-time great. I think that they have the biggest chance to upset Liverpool in terms of the title race. And they're beginning. They've been a little bit indifferent in terms of form, but now we're beginning to see them really click and really gel. This was a performance against a lackluster Chelsea, but I think that City are going to move on to just more and more positive results, and we're really going to see hopefully a three-way title race.
And Don, your thoughts on City? Maybe if they get a striker in January, they'll be even more lethal and they might just run away with the league. But the squad depth definitely helps.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're favorites to win for me from right now. I think they have 2 games in hand.
You changed, huh?
They're 5 points behind. I think Liverpool will struggle because of the injuries that they've been facing.
Don, you went from Arsenal to Liverpool and now to City.
I never said Arsenal. I'm not.
Not seriously. Not seriously. But I heard you say after the FA Cup that the league is ours. The treble.
The treble. Yeah, I'm going for the quadruple in my dreams, bro. You can only dream so high, right?
Yeah, but fair enough. Like we didn't expect Liverpool's injuries and stuff. So with that in mind and City squad depth, I think
it's going to be a close title race. Unfortunately, I know that this will rack you both a little bit up, but I don't think that United will sustain this title challenge.
I agree with you. It's just that we're enjoying the moment, but I agree with you.
Absolutely. I think you guys have all the rights to. You should
Yeah.
trouble whoever is getting troubled as much as they possibly can.
Klopp himself is getting troubled these days, man. Getting rattled. I've never seen him get rattled by Pep. All these years, they lost the league by 1 point to him, but they got rattled by Ole in 1 second, man. They're tied on points for a day and he got rattled.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
But I completely agree. But they don't have that depth that the City have and the quality Liverpool has as well.
Yeah, I think the March woes that Arsenal have had for a few years might just come back to strike for United this time. We'll see how that goes, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's gonna be a close title race.
Yeah.
It's not gonna finish away. It's not gonna finish like it finished last season or something of the sort. It's gonna go down to probably the last couple of games, which is always good to see. Along with the title race and the relegation, also I think it's gonna be like that. So it's gonna be a fun season.
Definitely.
A good few months of football coming through for us. So. Always fun to watch.
For sure, man. Thank you guys for joining me. It was a really good discussion. I really enjoyed it and hope to see you soon, man. Take care.